löytää Tatumin! Tatum, mikä hyökkäys! Boston Celtics, mikä moltti! Mikä luotto! Mikä jäätävä löytö Marcus Smartilta!
Πάνω του ο Dragic, πασάρι στο Smart. Tatum, ναι! At the buzzer, 115-114, εκπληκτικό φινάλε.
Smart fakes inside, Tatum spins.
איזה סל! בוא נראה את זה בזמן.
איזה דבר!
בוא נראה את זה בזמן.
יואו!
איזה מהלך.
איזה דבר!
Espacio afuera. De nuevo. Tatum y doble. Y lo gana Boston.
You're unbelievable!
It was hard to find words to describe the ending to this game, but one kept coming to mind.
It's unbelievable.
And unbelievable is certainly a perfect description. The first half was an even matchup between two teams playing hard, but the Celtics took control of this game, making the Nets look foolish in the third, and rumblings about Brooklyn not being a contender started popping up. But the Nets went on a huge run to start the fourth, had what seemed like complete control until the Celtics finally figured some things out, and we got the most unbelievable play to end the playoff game ever.
You're unbelievable!
But let's look at some interesting developments throughout the game first. Nets coach Steve Nash went small against the big lineup of the Celtics that featured Daniel Tice and Al Horford, which means poor Seth Curry needs to guard Tice, giving up at least 6 inches, and being on the weak side when the shot goes up means he has virtually no chance at the rebound and has to foul to stop the putback. It happens again in the third when the Celtics intentionally ball screen with Drummond's man to make sure he's nowhere near the basket when the shot hits the rim, and they have to foul or else give up the layup. The Nets defense gets totally out of position with 2 players in the block, forcing Kyrie to bump down to Tice, and this eerily resembles the final play of the game, including Kevin Durant allowing his man Tatum to cut to the hoop open. While Curry has to block out Tice on one side, Brown is left to handle Horford, and in a scramble, this offensive rebound directly leads to a wide-open Smart 3 that increases the lead to 9. And at the end of the third, they force a switch of Claxton onto Tatum, who is so concerned with this matchup that he stays completely glued to Tatum on the weak side, meaning poor Patty Mills has to wrestle with Al Horford after he has to switch in the pick and roll. With the game this close, giving up this many second chance opportunities will kill you. If you're wondering why KD struggled mightily in this game, you need only look at this early possession, as the Nets were hands-on, or all hands on deck, or let's make sure we physically pound him. I'm sure he was frustrated and distracted as Grant Williams swipes the ball clean out of his hands. We also know that shooters don't like defenders contesting them from the side, and what would normally be automatic ends up going long as KD can't calibrate. There was something a bit off with KD's movement patterns in the first half. And I imagine it's easier to see this up close in the arena, which means you need to download the SeatGeek app to get tickets for your favorite playoff team. SeatGeek scours the internet for the absolute best prices on seats to any sporting event, concert, or the theater, and then grades the price to let you know what kind of a deal you're getting. With just a few taps, you'll have the tickets delivered to your phone easily, and if you use my code BBALL, you'll get $20 off your first purchase. Don't miss another unbelievable finish. So download SeatGeek now, use my code, and you'll better understand how getting Durant to bring the ball up protects him from a lot of the extra physicality off the ball. And Tatum versus Durant should give us all sorts of incredible plays as the 2 best players on each team square off against each other on most possessions. The serious crossover gets him right into the lane, but check how Marcus Smart jumps straight up and down, doesn't bring his arms down, so despite the massive collision, there is no foul due to verticality. The slit screen by Patty Mills forces a switch, but Jaylen Brown is another long defender that can offer something against KD. Watch how KD splits his feet to attack on the catch, but great recovery from Brown, who also gets handsy on the waist. KD pushes his hand off, but Brown still gets in the air to challenge within an inch of the release, and this is what you have to do to have any chance against Durant. The physicality wasn't reserved just for KD. Watch what Brown is allowed to do to Kyrie. Meanwhile, Tatum is making sure KD feels him. Love the jump out by Horford to prevent the catch, and then Tice picking up Drummond. While Horford stays connected, he can't elevate to contest, and KD shows the Celtics that eventually he'll get used to the contact. The Nets set a double ball screen to get Durant more freedom to attack, and he almost gets it as Tice is forced to switch onto him, but Brown continues his pursuit and just swats this thing in a very surprising turn of events, considering how rare it is to see KD get his shot blocked cleanly. But KD very quickly gets it back on this hop into a baseline fadeaway jumper. I mentioned that shooters don't like contests from the side, and they also don't like it from behind, as Tatum has no choice after the solid screen from Drummond gets him so far behind the ball. KD's right foot splits forward, no doubt as an adjustment to Tatum's defense, and it misses short. I like what Smart does on this play, KD's signature action coming out of the right corner, as he tells Williams to pick up Kyrie so Smart can top lock KD. Tatum needs to find someone to guard, but he's got leeway since it's Claxton above the three-point line. Smart is again physical with Durant, even knocking the ball away, but if you're going to turn and run alongside KD and not be able to elevate into a contest, this is a layup. The Tatum-Durant one-on-one matchup will decide this series, and on the end of quarter ISO, it's unheard of to see this happen. In fact, we'd call it
You're unbelievable.
The thing that concerns me with the Nets is their lack of offense in crunch time. They're perfectly happy to get a switch and perceived mismatch and let either Kyrie or KD isolate for a shot. Incredible job by Horford not to give up an inch, and when you can maintain contact with the body and then get the hand up to contest, you've got the best shot you're going to get at making KD miss. In the first half, Al Horford surprised us all with 14 points on 5 of 6 shooting. And this one wasn't hard, as his man Drummond wanders into the lane despite Curry already waiting for the driving Brown to help. The easy decision to throw it one pass away to Horford leads to a wide open triple. Out of horns, they set a fade-length ball screen for Tatum, engaging Drummond on the switch. I understand why KD pursued, concerned that Drummond cannot handle Tatum out on the perimeter. Curry has to deal with two players, which is why he gets caught on the high side. Great decision to throw it up to Horford, since he's got an 8-inch height advantage over Curry and Kyrie. There was a moment in the third as the Celtics took control of this game where I almost started to feel bad for KD, as if these young, energetic, and athletic Celtics were making him look a little old. Tatum added to this by running KD off the ball screen, then not letting him ever recover with the big right foot step towards the elbow that causes KD to jump back into the lane, not close enough to contest this shot. After a free throw, it got embarrassing for the Nets, as no one stayed back to give Kyrie a pass to. With the 5-second count rapidly coming to a close, Smart plays center field perfectly and not only gets the steal, but the nice lefty dunk to go up 6. The Celtics continue to take control of this game in the third quarter, where they forced a switch and had the defense so concerned about Tatum attacking Irving, especially when Tatum is pulling on Kyrie's jersey. Look how Kyrie positions himself, begging for Tatum to just go to the basket. This is simply not KD's help, and the reason why is because the quick kick to Smart increases the lead. And it kept going, as Smart looks like he's just going to cut through, but then quickly changes it to an inside ball screen. He takes KD out, Mills doesn't switch, and Tatum takes advantage. Watch how Horford gets to the nail to show early help on Kyrie. This simply opens up an easy attack on the catch and allows Bruce Brown to dribble once and then smosh when no one could possibly rotate to help fast enough. The Nets simply don't run much offense with player movement, and you can certainly argue that they don't need to with such talented players like Durant and Kyrie. Tatum inches further and further out of position to help before going to the all-out double under 7 seconds on the shot clock. This was defended well until Williams takes the wrong route and allows middle penetration on the closeout. Horford has to step up, and it's an easy shot for Claxton. Again, who really needs fancy offense when you've got a guy who can just multi-dribble ISO out top before striking a pose and then lifting up and out into the long three-point shot with the guy breathing closely in his face? And if he's feeling it, he'll just pull from behind the arc as soon as he brings it up court. The results here are great, but we're going to feel this in a minute when we go over what happened down the stretch. The Nets even try to make it seem like they have some offense they run, like this nice set where they initiate with a handoff that doesn't do much, but when Claxton comes up the screen, Tatum starts looking that way, and Kyrie instantly rejects the screen, and it's funny how Smart is frustrated and pointing for someone to rotate over. As the lowest guy on defense, it was his job. While Kyrie was visibly affected by all the heckling from the crowd, I'm sure he'll get fined for these finger guns behind his head. It didn't affect his play to the slightest. Tie game, 3 minutes left, and the Nets forced Tatum onto him, which was a little strange, but not after you see what he does to the much bigger and longer player. With Durant not wanting to leave Tatum for fear of a pick and pop, he's not in the proper position to contain the ball. Claxton should have been on the block by this point, and Kyrie is inexplicably in his way, leaving him to try and protect the rim to no avail. Again, there really isn't much offense besides Kyrie just trying to decide who he wants to isolate against. Derek White wins the prize, and he does just enough to cause Irving to miss by an inch at most. It's still tied, and now they want to attack Derek White with KD. Tatum helps off Kyrie in the corner, who seems to know he simply won't get the ball despite being wide open. With Brown hanging in the lane, there's nowhere for KD to go. The ball gets loose, but with Durant, these things are trivial as he just hits the baseline jumper for the lead. Notice how Curry was guarding Derek White, but then they changed before the inbounds to put him on Horford. This was bizarre considering they put Horford in the dunker spot to ensure it's the diminutive Curry rotating to protect the rim with Claxton stuck in the corner. Now the Nets' two tallest players have to watch helplessly as their smallest guys get abused. When you've got bullets like Kyrie and KD in the chamber, you probably feel like you'll never run out, as they don't do anything but an ISO for Kyrie out top. And while Smart does an admirable job to contest, sometimes you just tip your cap and say, good game. But that's predicated on a solid defensive game plan. The Nets didn't really have that, as Claxton is completely turned away from the ball. He's their only hope to protect the rim, and Jaylen Brown gets right into the lane because Bruce Brown isn't trying to stop middle well enough. Does he push off a little with the chicken wing? Maybe, but not enough, and now the lead is 1. To avoid getting hit with another crazy tough shot from Kyrie, and with bad spacing on the left side, it allows Horford to wait till under 10 seconds in the shot clock and then blast Kyrie with a double. It wasn't even a good double, but it scrambled whatever you'd call this offense, and Kyrie ends up driving right back into a double team. So they've got nothing but a terrible shot that KD has little hope of making after the great contest by Tatum, and that leads us to the most unbelievable finish I think I've ever seen. I love the no timeout from Ime Udoka, and the baseline drive from Brown sucks two defenders to him, leaving Claxton to deal with Smart and Horford by himself. Perhaps Smart remembered he missed the three the last time Brown drove and kicked to him, and he also sensed there was just barely enough time to make a move. So as two Nets fly by off the court, and KD is frozen watching the ball as Tatum cuts behind him, somehow Smart sees this, lofts the ball, and the pirouette will go down in history as one of the most thrilling finishes we've seen. I have no doubt this series will go 7 games, and we'll all be better for it. And it just sucks that one of these two teams has to be eliminated so early in the playoffs.
You're unbelievable.